Here, Russian airstrikes are continuing in Syria this morning as the White House shows concern that the country is targeting non-ISIS forces. Joining us now on the phone is retired Army Colonel and former Army Commander in Iraq and Afghanistan, Jay Voorhees. Good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Maria.
So Colonel, let me get your take on what Russia is doing here. I mean, the U.S. airstrikes were in place over Syria. Putin comes in and says, the U.S., get out of the way. We're going to do these airstrikes. And now the U.S. is questioning if, in fact, they're even targeting ISIS.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing here is a very emboldened pattern by Putin. I mean, not even in this current situation. If you back up, though, and even look what he did in Crimea when he said he wouldn't. He went in there. He went into Ukraine when he said he wouldn't. And now he's in Syria after having conversations with the president, saying he's going to target ISIS, but going after the very people that we are supporting. And now he's back in Assad. And above all else, he's starting to build alliances with Iran and Iraq. I mean, it's very concerning. I mean, I think what you're seeing here is Russia is starting to reestablish themselves as a power player, and they are filling a leadership void. And what they're showing the West is we're going to have to deal with them, and we're going to have to deal with them on Russia's terms.
And they're just pushing. He's pushing President Obama around. I mean, it's very public, the fact that he's doing what he wants, regardless of what the U.S. administration says. Gary Kasparov said it really well on this program a couple of weeks ago. Putin has to trade in conflict right now because his economy is crashing. Oil prices have just totally, been destruction for Russia and its people because they've come down 50% from the highs. So what is Putin going to do? He's going to just deal in conflict and fighting so that he's big man, tough guy to the Russian people. Is that what this is all about?
Yeah, and I think the Russian people are actually going to respond to this because they see that Russia is now a major player again, and they understand that he's operating from a position of power. I mean, it's pretty obvious, and you can argue whether these are going to be long-term effects, but as you say, he's putting things in place to help him negotiate, even to get different sanctions relieved or whatever. And I agree with you; they're buying it, and it's very concerning. The other thing that's concerning is as he is doing this, we're downsizing. We're downsizing in the arena. We're downsizing our military. We're pulling forces out of Europe. At the same time, when Putin's also threatening NATO with verbal challenges and even overflights and everything, so I think they see this as a big sign of strength, and I think it's going to continue to play into Putin's hands.
So wait a second, we have the smallest army since World War II, smallest Navy since the Navy was put in place. All of our military is the smallest in decades, Keith.
Oh, yeah, and we have the smallest mind when it comes to the economic realities of the world in Mr. Obama. I mean, at the end of the day, that's my question for you, Jay. Do people actually understand what Maria is saying? There's an economic incentive to the Middle Eastern guys and the Russian guys to doing what they're doing, and they need a catalyst.
And they need oil prices up.
Well, I think what people might not understand is the Russians haven't had a foothold in the Middle East for decades. And what you're seeing is that they're reestablishing that. And reestablishing that in the Middle East obviously has economic implications that could benefit Russia and not be so beneficial to us. So I think you bring up a key point. This expansion, people say, oh, we shouldn't be concerned with it. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal, especially when you get back to one word, trust. And Putin has not demonstrated that we can trust his actions. And we need to take it very seriously. People ask, what can we do? Maybe not much now, but what we can do is start reestablishing ourselves and operating from a position of power.
So don't lead from behind, then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously.
Colonel, thank you so much. Appreciate your time today.
All right, thank you,
Colonel
guys.
Jay Voorhees there. Futures